It is exactly 1 year since the Australian Grand Prix was cancelled due to the coronavirus, setting in motion the craziest 12 months the sport has ever seen. We've all had to adapt and the sport has been no different, so we thought we'd take a look at what's changed, how the drivers have been affected, and what we could see happen this season. Before we get into the video, if you want to stay up to date with the latest content, hit the subscribe button down below and turn on notifications. That way you'll never miss a video. Let's get into it. We're currently halfway through pre-season testing, but rewind 12 months and the start of the season in Melbourne was looming, despite concerns about the coronavirus circulating weeks earlier. Sport around the world was dropping like flies, but it took until just hours before FP1 and a McLaren team member to test positive before the season was postponed. At the time we had no idea what would happen next, but we certainly didn't expect the season to start in July. The season was immediately put on hold, and it was clear the year was going to be very different. We eventually started the season in Austria, but the calendar wasn't even set in stone when we returned to action. We had back-to-back races at the same track, including 2 at Silverstone. New tracks and old tracks were introduced to fill the gaps: Istanbul Park, Portimao in Portugal, and Imola to name a few, as well as a race on the outer loop in Bahrain. It wasn't just the calendar that changed, much like football, cricket and rugby to name a few sports. F1 was forced to introduce the biosecure bubble. The team members had to test negative for the virus before being allowed into the paddock, and face masks became a common sight at each race. The majority of the season was behind closed doors, which meant no fans. The drivers. The biosecure bubbles didn't guarantee 100% success. There were some cases that slipped through the net, but on a whole they worked pretty well. Sergio Perez was the first driver to test positive for the virus just before the British Grand Prix, and he ended up missing the double header at Silverstone. He was replaced by Nico Hülkenberg, who was back in action at the Nürburgring after he replaced the ill Lance Stroll, whose positive result was confirmed a few days after the race. Lewis Hamilton was the last driver mid-season to test positive, and he missed the crazy Sakhir Grand Prix, which gave George Russell a chance to shine. Since the end of the season, Charles Leclerc and Lando Norris have both tested positive, but thankfully all the drivers have since made full recoveries. What could come next? Well, the season was hit hard before it had even begun. The Australian Grand Prix was moved to later in the year, and there's no place on this season's calendar for China. The latest update in this saga comes on the vaccine front. Jabs are being distributed to people around the world as we speak, but organisers in Bahrain have actually offered the vaccine to team members working at the season opener. Not too much is known on that front, but we don't think it's compulsory. Imola and Portimao have both been welcomed onto the calendar after popular races last year, hosting the second and third races of the season respectively, although this isn't entirely due to COVID. Unfortunately for now, it looks like racing will continue to be behind closed doors, and the biosecure bubble talk will go on for some time. However, with the vaccines being rolled out, it looks as if there is some light at the end of the tunnel. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe if you're new around here, and if you want to check out more Formula 1 content, you can have a look at the links in the description so you can stay up with the latest F1 news, and I will catch you next time.